Dave Gleason, welcome back to the Soccer Queens podcast.
Thank you.
I'm ready for this. The last time you came on, you talked about how to handle team drama and deal with mean girls, and that was such a hit.
That was so fun to talk about, and I think so necessary because I think it's a major pain point that so many young athletes go through, but they suffer in silence, because they don't know how to handle it. They don't say anything to mom or dad or even to their friends or their teammates. So I'm so glad we got to pick that one apart and anchor down some strategies that have helped you and I and have helped the athletes that we've worked with in the past.
It was such a good episode, and I'll include it in the link below just in case you guys didn't catch it. It was incredible. And I got a lot of messages from people who were, like you said, really struggling behind the scenes, and they just really related to the podcast. And I think it's good to have these podcasts where we talk about topics that aren't really addressed within a team setting, whether it's like by the coach or by the parent. So thank you for that. Now,
Thank you
today's
for
topic. Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Thank you for having a platform that really pushes agendas like that, talking about the things that I think other coaches or athletes don't want to talk about or don't feel like they can. So I just want to acknowledge you for that.
I love doing it. So I'm always happy to hop on here and talk to other people and even learn something myself. And that's why I brought you back on today to talk about another topic that isn't really addressed in the sense of just having more clarity around it. So we hear a lot of be on your grind, no days off. If you're not grinding, you're not getting ahead, like all those messages. And I think it's interesting because everyone kind of sees the grind differently.
Hmm.
So, how would you define it versus how do you think social media is portraying the grind? Because this is really important to narrow down.
I am so glad that you posed the question that way because I do believe it needs a different definition than the way that it's portrayed or the way we think it should be, whether it's coming from social media or our coaches or even our parents, right? I know some parents that are like, no days off. You've got to grind. You have to practice more than anyone else. You have to work harder than anyone else. I think that where we fall short is defining that and explaining what that actually means to kids that are playing their favorite sport. So before we went on, we talked a little bit about this, but what is it not? I'm really having a tough time on social media lately because, no days off will be equated to this killer, sensational, fantastic, like to your drop workout, which it can be. But again, when an 11-year-old female soccer player sees that, or even a 17-year-old, what comes to mind is that's what I need to do day in and day out to get to the next level. I have big dreams. I have big goals. I want to play in college. I want to be an impact player on my club team. Whatever that goal is, that's what I have to do. Well, okay. And the super motivated athletes will do that. That was me. I'm so glad we didn't have social media when I grew up because I loved playing, so I was going to practice and do whatever I needed to do in order to get better. But if I thought that that's what it was, I think I would have really gotten injured. So I just want to say that first, Erica, that it's not consistently grinding yourself into the ground where you're lying in a puddle of sweat and you can't get up off the floor, all to do it again the next day.
I think it is really interesting how social media portrays the quote unquote grind because, like you said, it's telling athletes, oh, well, you need to do this revolutionary workout and like lift the heaviest weight and add like these chains and these bands and like all this stuff that just looks cool.
Mhm.
Um, and it's like when we were talking off air, it's more about what are you doing on the back end that is really simple that is
Mhm,
going a long way? I
mhm.
think that's what the grind truly is. It's doing the things behind closed doors that are probably the most boring, but the most potent for your performance. So, what are some of those things? What is truly the grind?
Absolutely, to circle back around to our last podcast together, we talked about identity a little bit, didn't we? And we talked about how what I do appreciate, especially with the US women's national team, is they so often would show all the laughter and joking around and kidding around on the bus or getting off the bus or on the field or, taking selfies and all that, those fun things. I also appreciate a little bit, well, a lot actually. US women's national team, when I see posts from them, they don't necessarily call it the grind, but you'll see a recovery workout. They're all on the ground stretching or doing mobility work or things like that. So, just to anchor down for any athlete that's watching this right now, what the grind isn't is it is not grinding yourself into the ground. That's where we are mistaken, because we need all the other things that play into being better, and breaking yourself down all the time is not making you better. So, the short list of things, can we just, as an aside, Erica, you and I have also talked about this. So, again, any young athletes that are watching this right now, your schedule is more difficult at this point if you are in middle school or high school than that of a professional soccer player, a professional athlete, because you're up early. We're expecting you, right, to get something nutritious in your body before you start school. So maybe you're up even earlier. You've got to catch the bus or get yourself to school. You have, say, 6+ hours of school right to the fields after practice, or it's homework, then in the car to practice, and then you have games. You're going 6 days a week. When I was training professional soccer players, they would tell me, "Oh, yeah, we had to get to the stadium today by about 8:30." We'd go to the treatment room, which, for those of you who don't know that, that's where they are working with trainers and physical therapists to stretch them out, work out some bumps, sore spots, some knocks that they had during the last game or during the week. Recovery type things, also getting them prepared for practice, ice baths, heat, ultrasound, all these modalities. And then they'd have a practice for an hour and a half to 2 hours, which is not 110% for an hour and a half for 2 hours. Then some of them after that might have media relations, some responsibilities that they have to do, but they were home by about noon. And then I remember saying to this one guy I was working with, and he was an MLS All-Star. I'm like, "Kevin, so then what?" Like, and he's like, "Well, we have lunch and then play video games with my friends. I usually take a really long nap." Like, doesn't that sound like pretty awesome? Where by 7 o'clock at night, as a young athlete, if say you're up at 6 in the morning, that's 13 hours of grinding and using your brain and getting emotionally and neurologically tired and intellectually tired. And then you're supposed to perform on the field at practice. You're right into the frying pan. Or maybe you have a weekday game. So, see the contrast there, kids? So I think, I'm using that as context, as a foundation to lead into what Erica just talked about. Let's And I think we can also put this in the context of no days off. Well, what does that mean? We talked about this earlier, Erica. Kids, are you drinking half of your body weight in ounces every day at a minimum? That's a grind. I like, this is what I do for a living. I don't do that every day. It's a grind for me to get that in depending on how busy my day is. But are you doing that? That's part of the grind, you guys. Food. Food is obviously important. Are you eating things that help you? or don't help you. It's as simple as that. And are you doing that most of the time? That's a grind. That's difficult. It's not easy, and no one's asking you to eat 7 days a week absolutely perfectly. It doesn't exist. But are you trying to attain a certain level of nutrition that helps you become better and helps you recover and helps you feel stronger, helps you make better reactions or quicker reactions, helps you think fast, helps your body get stronger and more powerful and react. So those are just two things, Erica, that we can mention that are behind the scenes. No one wants to talk about in terms of the grind.
Do you think that people aren't talking about it because they're not actually doing it? Like, they're not actually truly grinding and doing these simple but hard things?
Yes. In a word, yes. Not and again, what's being portrayed though? What's being taught? See you tomorrow, practice. And social media is one thing, and kids. I love ESPN. That's where I get all of my like sports info. Who won last night? Who did this? Who did that? Or ESPN FC, so I can see the soccer scores and that kind of stuff. But oh my gosh, these workouts that you have to also understand what a progression is. It just means the person you're watching on camera, on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever, started way down here with a professional, and it took them months and months and months and months and months. Oh, we're going to do this really crazy, cool looking exercise because they've earned the right to do it. They have the ability to move in a way, and they're strong enough and capable enough to do that exercise. But to answer your question, Erica, I think it's both. I'd have to think a little bit, right, about what came first, the chicken or the egg. I think this is a little bit of nature versus nurture, right? Where we all react to the stimulus that we're given, and we're just trying to do the best that we can. We have all these outside influences in terms of what the grind is. We don't have, in my opinion, all these outside influences in terms of what the grind actually is, including food, water. We haven't even talked about recovery yet and what that means. Um, there's so much that goes into it. So I think athletes don't really want to talk about it because they don't know any better. They just think I'm grinding, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Adults, I think in many cases, don't know what they don't know. So they're also saying, well, yeah, it looks like you should really be working hard every day. And even the most well-intentioned parents or rec level soccer coaches or whoever, they just don't know. So I'm so glad we're doing this because I hope the word really starts to spread.
It seems like people think the grind is just that training part of it, but I love that you are bringing recovery into the mix because recovery, it doesn't seem like it would be a grind, but
Mhm.
getting up on a Sunday to do a very mundane, like, stretch and foam roll, yeah, that's not that fun, it's not exciting, it's not entertaining on the internet, but it's hard to do, and it's necessary for high performance, and I think it is those really mundane, behind closed doors things and habits that players do that are truly the grind to get you better because, everyone's training hard, everyone's doing their skill work. I think more female soccer players are starting to get in the gym, but not everyone's recovering hard. Not everyone is nourishing hard. Not everyone is hydrating hard. And that's what's going to set people apart.
I couldn't agree more. If when as you watch this back, listen to this part of it. The best athletes in the world, the ones that we all look up to, were willing to do the little things that other players weren't willing to do to have the career that those other players would never have. And it's not, again, it's not killing themselves in the gym or spending so many hours on the soccer field that they couldn't feel their legs, and or now there's a recurring knee issue where there's a lot of discomfort and pain there because of overuse. Recovery days are not a day off. If you're a young female soccer player, the person who just mentioned recovery days was an All-American in college, and congratulations, Erica, now a Hall of Fame member of her university. She knows what it takes to get to the highest level. So believe both of us, and I've trained those type of athletes. Believe both of us when we say recovery day is not a day off. It's nothing to feel guilty about. It's actually hard work. We could both attest to the fact that a really dedicated and intense foam rolling session, mobility session, leaves us as sweaty and red-faced as anything else we've done. Our heart rate might not be, maxed out, and we might not be buckled over, hands on our knees because we can't breathe, but it is not a day off. It's taking care of our bodies, and it's having the willingness to grind in that way when maybe another player is they're stepping up because you know how this works with clubs. Hey, we're short players. Can so and so play tomorrow? Even though she had a game Friday night and 2 games on Saturday, there's another team within the club that has a spot. Yeah, I'll step up. I'll get in a fourth game. Do you have the ability and the mental toughness to say that's not maybe what's best to me? I love the game and I always want to play, but I need a recovery day. I need a day off from the pitch, from being on the field.
Now, I do want to get the parents involved in this conversation because I think this whole idea of the fake grind, the just train till you drop is perpetuated by parents. And I know parents are well-intentioned, they love their kids, they're proud of their kids, but oftentimes what I see parents posting on their social media account or the account they run for their kid is only them, like, training, 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 and it's like, if your kid was really grinding, post a picture of a 30-gram plus protein breakfast that you cooked for them.
Mhm,
Show me your single ingredient refrigerator with whole foods. Show me you doing a foam roll workout with your kid on a Sunday morning. Show me something else. And I really wanna be hard on parents about this because kids don't know any better. You can't, like, blame an 11-year-old for eating unhealthy. Who's buying the
right,
groceries? Who's swiping the credit card? Who's
right,
cooking? You can't blame a kid, and I talked about this on my last podcast with Austin Yoakum. We hate that whole argument, "Oh, well, kids this generation are lazy nowadays." It's like, well, whose fault is that?
yeah,
Who raised them? Who coached them? And I'm not just saying parents, us coaches, the onus is on us,
mhm,
and it's what we're trying to instill in these kids. We have to lead. We can't perpetuate this whole idea of the grind and them just always training and not focusing on these other things.
mhm. Oh, man, this is good. Alright, parents, some tough love. I'm a dad. I'm a dad who both my boys, one's in college, one is beyond, they played at a super high level. I know how hard it is to say no, because we want our kids to be happy. Sometimes we need to be the parent, though, and not be their friend, and you've heard that, and when I heard that, I was like, "Who are you to say that to me?" Right? However, and I understand these, like, say, Instagram accounts that parents are running for their kids, especially the younger ones. They're trying to get their kids looks. As a former college recruiter, and I've talked to so many college coaches, I will just say this, parents. A college coach does not care how good your kid is when they're 11 years old. They don't care about a workout that looks like they're not gonna recover from for a month as a 13-year-old soccer player. They don't care what level they play at. They don't care what their club's record is. They don't care that you think your daughter's a beast. I'm so sick of this beast mode. Like, the kid's 6 years old, she's not beast mode yet. She's a little girl playing soccer, and she's pretty athletic, so she's doing pretty well out there. So parents, I understand, the motivation, if you will, for having these accounts and posting these things. I'm telling you, if you really wanna help your child get noticed, post the things that they're doing that other kids are not doing, like learning how to roll out. Like, take a picture of a bomb dinner, and I'm talking about protein, vegetables, and a starch, balanced, single ingredient foods, good stuff. Well, he or she doesn't like that. Well, does he or she really wanna get better? Do they really wanna play at a high level? It's those are it's that's the grind of being a parent, where the kids are mad. Like, "I don't wanna eat this. I'm gonna eat it reluctantly. I'm gonna go in my room, and I'm gonna give you attitude." Okay, because I know that attitude's gonna be gone as soon as they've had space to work it through and process, and then we can talk about it. But we have to make those tough decisions for our younger athletes especially, so that when they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, they're making those decisions for themselves. It's so important. I'm so glad that you brought that up. So, again, tough love parents, learn how to say no to the things that you inherently know won't help them. You just know. I've had so many athletes, when they come in, "What'd you have for breakfast?" And it's either nothing or something I wouldn't give my kid as a snack. And I'm not putting myself up on a high horse. I'm just saying, like, make choices for your kids that will help them. Because then on the other side of it, parents, we can't have you complaining why they seem like they didn't have energy. They're not, pushing 100% of the time on the field. Well, they're low energy because they have no nutrition or water in them for the last 4 days. And that's the truth of it. So, post those type of things if you really wanna try to, you know, use social media to help your child get more views, but I'm telling you, college coaches wanna see kids doing the right things, and they also wanna see, Erica, you know this, you're a recruiter, they wanna see great families. They wanna see great parents, because when a college team pulls a player in, that's what they want. They want great kids, great parents, great values, good grades. Oh, yeah, they can also play at a very high level, which is why they looked at you in the first place. So the highlight reels, cool goal, great pass, beat 2 players, make the right pass, move the ball in the space, all those things are cool. Definitely post those things too. But post this other stuff. Post a recovery workout. Post them doing their homework. Little candid photo. The grind. We didn't even talk about that. We talked about school in terms of the schedule. Are you grinding to get good grades? Are you helping your son or daughter grind to get good grades? Because I'm telling you, if the grades aren't there, I don't care if they're Megan Rapinoe 2.0, they're not getting a look. It's just too hard. There's 1,000 other kids that are just as good, and a college coach wants to go to admission saying, "Yep, got the grades, got the test scores. If it's not test optional, great kid. Can I use a spot on her?" Yep. I mean, that's the reality, right?
Wow, Dave, there's so much you mentioned there that we need to discuss, and I'm glad we have more time.
Me
So
too.
buckle up, everyone.
Sorry if I just ranted.
Yeah, no, it was so great. And one thing you mentioned there is parents being frustrated with kids when they are slow in a game or they lack energy. And they always think it's a training problem. Oh, well, they didn't have a good game, so we just got to train harder this coming week. And it's so frustrating that that's the one thing they look at because we risk overtraining and we also ignore the other pieces like them getting hydrated and getting enough calories in.
Mm,
So they do need to look at those things first, and those are the things that will set players apart at a high level. And you mentioned, me being in the Hall of Fame and all that, and I appreciate the shout out. And I will say, eventually you learn how to take care of yourself better. So even if your kid's not eating the protein or not eating certain vegetables, eventually they will catch on. And I will say, when I was a freshman in college, I still was very lost with my nutrition and I wasn't eating the best. It was a lot of junk food, a lot of alcohol, which I really hate to admit. But came sophomore year, I began to notice a little bit of a decline in my performance, and that was enough motivation to really change
Mm.
course and to focus more on whole foods and getting more protein and going to bed earlier and hydrating, and that's what really pushed me over the edge and got me to a peak position in my career. And that's the same way for a lot of college athletes and professional athletes. It really is that nutrition piece that no one sees because no one's
Mhm.
posting them at, like, the cafeteria or, like, out to dinner really.
True, true. Um, oh, that's such good stuff. So, injuries aside, and I say that with bated breath because literally 8 out of every 10 new athletes that come into my program now have an injury history, and it doesn't matter whether they're 10 years old, 18 years old. And let's just push that to the side just a little bit. Parents, your kids, especially the ones that they love it, and that's always the excuse, right? But they love it. I get that they love it. But if they take a day off for recovery or social time with their friends or family time, they're gonna love it tomorrow too. And they might even love it more because 'cause they're hungry, they missed it. It was one day. They will either kids, you will either take a little bit of time off now and take care of these things now, or you will do it later because you have to. It's just, Erica was in a situation where she got into school and she started to notice her performance she go down. She had to eat better. She probably looked at everything. She probably looked at drinking alcohol. She probably looked at, am I eating what everything I can so I can be better? Am I drinking enough water? I'm a college student now. Am I even sleeping? How many all-nighters have I had? I mean, we've all been there. And it's not a badge of honor, kids, to grind. Parents, it's not a badge of honor to say, "My kid grinds and they never have days off." It's a badge of honor to say they recover. We work on their mental health. We work on school. We work on the balance with family and friends. We work on all those things. Those are your medals of honor, if you will, that you can wear proudly. I I can't stress this enough. If you don't take care of those things early, you will have to take care of them later, or they just they hit that ceiling way too early, way too early. And then it becomes even more frustrating. So you work harder, you train more days, and you get into this vortex where that's where you get to the point it's only a matter of time until your knee goes, your hip hurts, your hip goes, your back, hip flexors, ankles, because a tired body has a really tough time taking care of itself. But a recovered body that's strong and hydrated and nourished, you're stacking the cards in your favor. It has a much better opportunity to take care of itself. And that's just the bottom line. That's the hashtag truth. Like, that's it.
I love that you said what a badge of honor really is. And I hear a lot of parents or even players say, well, I don't have time to prepare meals for the week, or I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to do that. And it's like, well, you're the one who's saying you're grinding. So you do
Mhm.
need to make the time for it if you really want to grind and get better. And it should be a badge of honor to take even just an hour on a Sunday night to prep meals for the week and set your kid up for success with nutrition and
Mhm.
their lunches, and avoiding the disaster that's the school lunch, or having them being in a caloric deficit and not having a snack before practice right after school. It's like the things you do in preparation and thinking ahead so that you're not stressed in the long run.
Mhm.
I think that's what the grind really is. It's discipline. It's discipline. And discipline doesn't always mean that you're running yourself in the ground. Discipline is something that's intentional for high performance.
Absolutely. How many resources are there out there? I.e., Erica Suter has 2 books out now and an amazing program to help. If you don't know where to go, there are so many resources. We could give you 10 people that know nutrition more than probably 100,000 other nutritionists in the world as it relates to a young female athlete, to help give you strategies, not to say, well, Monday you're going to eat this and Tuesday you're going to eat this. Strategies. What's better? This is the other thing that we've talked about at length is try not to think in terms of good or bad. I know we're painting a picture here like this kind of grind is bad, which it's just not helping you the way that you think it is. And this kind of grind is good. Even with that, what's better? I'm not expecting anyone who watches this to change everything tomorrow. Someone probably will. There'll be a parent that's like, you know what? I needed this reminder. I knew better. I got caught up in it. She loves it. She's so passionate, but I want the best for her. I'm going to sit down. We're going to talk it through and we're going to talk about what her goals are and have her watch this back with me if possible. We're going to change some things that so that she really stacks the cards in her favor so that she can get to the next level because I love my daughter so much. But that's like, oh yay, if everyone did that, we really be getting somewhere. Make a little change. Make one change. Make the change of water. Make the change of go to bed, have your daughter go to bed 15 minutes earlier tonight. That's not going to kill her. And then next week, 15 minutes more. And then the next week, 15 minutes more. Now you have 45 minutes of more sleep, right? Um, change one thing about the way that they eat and replace things. Don't just cut things out, right? If, you know, snack after school is one of those little bags of Doritos, which is very common, we're taking that out and we're putting this in. Is it a piece of fruit with some almonds or cashews? Is it, there's so many strategies. We just have to use the tools that are afforded to us and then change one thing this week, change one thing next week. Because over the course of a year, oh my gosh, you could be in such a better position physically, mentally, emotionally as a young athlete, really striving after your goals. But it's just like soccer, right? We don't have you show up when you're a 6-year-old and have you doing rondos, right? Or anything complex. We're just trying to get you comfortable with the ball at that point. Let's get everybody a ball and dribble around and pretend your car's a race car and show, experience a little bit of control. Like there's a progression to everything. So make make a commitment to change one thing this week. And parents, if you do it with them, not for them, it'll go a lot better. I guarantee you. Do it with them. Just like so many adults, Erica, right? And folks that are listening, if we think it's our idea, we're going to be all for it. Sometimes when it's someone else's idea first and we're not there yet mentally, we resist. Right. And then, how many times have you talked to a parent, Erica, and you're like, oh, I talked to your daughter and we talked about X, Y, and Z and she agreed. So, and the parent's like, oh, I've been saying that for 6 months. Right. for whatever reason, we could talk about that later. She wasn't ready to hear it and make a change. And sometimes a coach can't have a large influence on an athlete, sometimes in a different way, if not more than a parent, because parent can be too close. But parents, do it with them, not for them, and rely on your coaches to help as well. There's some accountability.
I love that, doing it with them and not for them. And I think kids do need that example because all of these things are learned behaviors. And when the whole family is on board, it's so much more impactful. And I've coached families like this. I mean, they have a gym in their basement, they're cooking healthy family dinners, not every night of the week because life, but they try to do it as much as they can. And
Mhm,
those girls are healthy, they're vibrant, they're playing in college. I mean, it's just so cool to see that when the whole family is behind the athlete in every aspect of performance. And, it's not just great for soccer performance, but it's amazing for family bonding. I
mhm.
mean, there's so many benefits to it, right?
Absolutely, and, I was thinking back to when my oldest we had toyed around with club soccer, and this is going back some time now, so, there weren't 4 teams for his age group at every club. There was 1, like, if you were gonna play club soccer, you needed more than recreational town or city soccer could give you, and I coached him. So I was like, "He really needs someone else to coach him that's, A, better, tactically especially, but he needs another voice besides dad, who he's had since 6 years old." But we sat down as a family and talked about, this is going to be a family commitment. It's a family commitment financially. It's a family commitment with our time, how we're spending our time during the week and weekends. I remember his little brother was, a lot younger. He had to come with us. There's it's a family, like you just said. It's a family endeavor. It's a family grind, and then also you feel like you're doing it with each other. Because when it's 4, I'm doing it for Erica. All I do is drive her around. I drive her to this practice and that practice. We gotta, nope, can't, go see my friends this weekend. We have a soccer tournament. It's 4, 4, 4. If I'm doing it with you, there's not a game I will miss. I'm there with you. I'm there watching you play. You're in your safe space on the field doing your thing with your girlfriends, playing the best game there is, whatever it is, whatever game it is, could be basketball, whatever. But the word "with" makes a huge difference.
Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up or any final words of wisdom?
Hmm. I think, I have some notes off to the side here. I mentioned it very, very briefly. And this is personal to me because my story, um, and why I coach is because my parents loved us so much, and I love my parents. They weren't athletes. Both of my parents grew up really, really, really poor, so they couldn't play sports. My mom actually quit high school to help put food on the table. So they just wanted us to have everything they didn't have. And when it came to sports, they didn't know the first thing. I mean, I was in second grade before I even touched a soccer ball. I didn't even know what it was myself until I had a kid next door move in, and he's like, "You play soccer?" I'm like, I guess so. And then, I signed up then, but like I they gave me every opportunity to succeed. They didn't know about any of what we're talking about either. Fast forward, I graduate college. I remember my last college soccer game like it was yesterday. And I remember crying in the locker room. Not just because we had lost and I knew it was an NCAA tournament game and I knew, well, that's it. No more college games. I'm going to miss the guys. I remember thinking, "What do I do?" like in life. I was going to graduate in 4 years like I was supposed to, and I was already, whatever, but how I don't know how to take care of myself is it if it's not for soccer. I literally different. I did not know, and that took a toll on me for many, 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 many years. It took a lot to process that and get through that. So what drives me is to give information like this so that, and this is leading to my next point, make time for your friends. That's part of the grind. Whether they're part of your team, they're a teammate or not, part of the grind is finding that balance, you guys, so that your friends don't get pushed aside. Even though your goal, your mission is noble. I want to be the best I can be. I want to contribute to my team. I want to help win championships. I want to play after high school. That's a great goal. But if you get there and you have no one with you, it's very lonely. And that was me. I pushed everyone and everything aside to play at the highest level I could. I didn't know any better. Now you do. So do all these other things we talked about. Make little changes in your food, your water, your recovery, working on your own mental health. It takes 5 minutes to meditate, by the way, and it'll do a world of good. Um, Grind school. Grind finding that balance to stay in touch with and see and spend time with your friends outside of the game. You won't regret it, I promise.
That was so great, and man, I think this was such a powerful discussion, and it's really going to make people think and just reevaluate where they are and where they're putting their priorities in their performance. So, Dave, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will link all of Dave's social media in the caption below. So please follow up with him and comment below. What were your thoughts? What are you going to work on even in the next week? And if you have any recommendations for future topics for Dave and I to talk about, please let us know because we love just getting on here and just sharing and having these conversations. So, thank you guys for listening, and I will see everyone on the next episode.
Thank you so much.